as soon as you get kids, it's like you get like this huge mirror in front of you, and it's like a big reflection. So you want for your kids actually also the best life. So you have to do it for yourself as well. Then you start asking honest questions to yourself, like, okay, is this what I like doing? Is this what I want for my life? Because the stuff I was doing, it wasn't making me happy. I didn't like my work, and the most time you spend is at your work, and it's also has to be meaningful, and it wasn't meaningful to me.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to the Growth Blog podcast. And today we'll be talking to Michael. He'll introduce himself shortly. A very interesting story, and it's all about living your best life. Today's episode, we'll be talking about things we do when we want to live our best lives, and some of the decisions we make, and how that impacts us generally. So I'll let Michael introduce himself, and we'll get right into it. Over to you, Michael.
Thanks for having me, Wilson. Very happy to be here. Good to hear about your podcast and what you're doing. Short introduction. I am Michael. I live in the Netherlands. 38 years old. Married with three kids. And I'm currently an engineering manager at Ordina. So I manage a group of developers, of software developers. It wasn't always that way, because I started my career a bit different. It's also what we're going to talk about, of course. I started out as a consultant a while ago. It's now when I started, it was 2007, and when I switched the career, it was 8 years ago, 2017, 7 years. And that's also when my first son was born. So that's where the story all started. Yeah. Normally, when you're like a developer in the tech space, you get a lot of DMs in your LinkedIn, and usually I don't even look at the inbox. But I started writing on LinkedIn, and then I saw a message from you. It was a little bit different. So I was looking at you. There was an invite for the podcast. I was like, okay, this is pretty interesting. And I really like to talk about this stuff. So I accepted immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. And the color you're wearing today, coincidentally, we're wearing the same color. What prompted you to wear this color? Was it just it just fits your wardrobe?
Yeah, it was just went to work. I saw this one. It was we didn't we didn't decide to match. It was just coincidence.
I know. Well, yeah, but lovely. Okay, so let's talk about your transition. Like I said, when I read your newsletter, I was like, who does this? That was the first thing that came into my mind. And for you to switch from being a senior consultant to a junior developer, that is a huge shift. What inspired that?
It's really, really crazy, because when I think about it now it's crazy still. So I was really, I also explained in the story a bit, but when you get kids, I don't know if you have kids or not.
No,
yet.
not yet.
Not yet? As soon as you get kids, it's like you get like this huge mirror in front of you, and it's like a big reflection. So you want for your kids actually also the best life. So you have to do it for yourself as well. Then you start asking honest questions to yourself, like, okay, is this what I like doing? Is this what I want for my life? Because the stuff I was doing, it wasn't making me happy. I didn't like my work, and the most time you spend is at your work, and it's also has to be meaningful, and it wasn't meaningful to me. So I had a technical background, so I knew. When I thought of switching, I was thinking about two things I wanted to do. It was the one, or I wanted to go I wanted to do something more creative. So because I had this thing, and I wanted to express my creative side also a bit. So,
Yeah.
or I want to do design stuff, or I want to do coding, because I have a lot of friends of me that are actually developers that were already. So that wasn't far for me, but also design was something different. So then I reached out to different people who were already in the job, and I was asking like, hey, what's the stuff doing? What does your day look like? And then in the end, I thought, well, the coding, I think that fits me, and I really can express myself. And I'm now 30 or 31, and if I want to learn something new, I have to do it now. Otherwise, I think I'm too late. So it's still a chance. If I'm fast, I'm 35, 36, I have a new skill, and I'm still good. So that, and when once I decided that, I just flipped the switch. I was like, yeah, I have to make some sacrifices now for the future to be better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
And during that period, obviously you had to really learn new stuff, right?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I really had to learn it. Yeah, it's
oh,
it was a boot camp, so I had like it was 2 months, two
okay.
months, two full-time class. You have to go to class. So when I went from work to back to school, so it's every day with I have to also, I had this nice car, I had to bring it back. So I was going with the bus and with the train to Amsterdam to learn for 2 months, and it was really, yeah, really crazy, because I didn't know how to code at all, so it was a completely new skill, and it was pretty difficult. And even at one point I was dreaming about code during the night. I woke up with this solution, like, oh, this is. I was not the only one. It was really something that all the people there had, because it was such.
Yeah.
You learn so quick in the 2 months. You learn so much that you would just start dreaming about it. So it was really crazy. Yeah, yeah,
I've experienced that before, actually. So one of the roles I was in some time ago, I think like 8 years now, it was also a research-based role. So you do a research and then you program the solution, and then which we use
yeah,
for other applications. So I can relate with when you're sleeping, it's just running through your head like, oh my God, I need to do this, I need to do that.
yeah,
Okay, let's talk about consultancy. So now
yeah,
you've moved from fully into IT space, being a developer, now
yeah,
an engineering manager.
yeah,
Are there experiences from when you were a senior consultant that plays in
yeah.
your role currently today?
It's
Are
a
there
really
things
that's
you're
a really
using?
yeah that's a really good question. I also thought about this before our meeting, because
Hmm.
a lot of people think when you going to transition a career that you just throw out your old knowledge, you just throw out your career. But actually, the stuff that I also learned in my previous career is really giving me now the advantage, and it's giving me an extra thing, because I am the one that can talk business language, but I can also talk the technical language. So that puts me in a really good place to understand both sides, and that really helps in the career. Yeah,
Good. Yeah, I believe that as well, right? Some things we pick up, there's no knowledge as a waste at the end of the day. It's just how you can use that knowledge in what you're currently doing, and to keep building on that. And now you're leading a team.
yeah,
How do you show up? Do you show up as a consultant or do you show up as an engineer?
yeah. It depends. So sometimes
Yeah,
when sometimes I'm on the project, just leading the project. So then I'm
yeah,
more in my consultancy role, just also advising the people from the business, like, hey, you have to work like this. But when I talk to my team, I can talk really technical, so I can also talk from my expertise, and also with their growth, right? They also want to move up. They want to also have a future, or in tech, or
yeah.
maybe more leading a team, and I help them with that. So then I show up as a developer. So yeah,
Okay.
I can put on two
Good.
hats.
And it's a bonus for your team, to be honest. I
Yeah,
think bringing that expertise there, I can imagine working with you. That's a lot to learn from. You currently have a newsletter where you talk about coding, mindset, wellness.
yeah,
How did that
yeah.
start? What was the motivation to kickstart that?
This was actually started during the pandemic, the
Okay.
Corona period, where I thought, okay, I had some, but I was developing, and I also was, I got some sort of coach from work there. So, and he was asking me some questions, and he was asking me like, hey, um, there are certain things for you that are easy, that aren't easy, or normal for other people, and that's pretty interesting. So, and you should think about that. Maybe you can share it. So then I started to think about that stuff, and that's where I started to write about mindset and how things can help you. So that already started a few years ago, but it was a little bit more as a hobby, so off and on, off and on. And now I'm, yeah, also trying to improve my writing skills so I can really uh, put on paper well what I think and what I try to, the story I'm trying to tell. So yeah, it started actually almost 4 years ago. Yeah.
And how do you balance that with your? I know you say it started as a hobby, but now you're taking it a bit more seriously. You're learning
Yeah.
how to write. It was through
Yeah.
your writing. I got
Yeah.
across to you because I read it and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this is
Because I
somebody
started to write.
that's
Yeah,
in.
that's really nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
um yeah, it is. I do it on the side, so I do it in the evenings.
Yeah.
So some people like to relax in the evening or watch a movie. I really like to do this stuff. So sit down and think about something nice to write. Browse LinkedIn for the people that are saying good things, so I can also add to that. And I think also in the evening, that's also when my mind is a little bit relaxed, where I can think the best. So I can also write more easily. So it comes naturally.
Okay. And how are you infusing your? Because one thing we've heard about software developers, I know not to generalize, but most times they might not be very open to communication, to communicating a lot, right? Because most of the solution is in their head. They are very
Yeah,
creative,
yeah,
very talented people. And sometimes some people, not all, do struggle with communicating.
yeah,
What will you advise them? Because I've had to say that if your knowledge is 10 over 10 and your communication skill is 3 over 10, people will perceive you as a 3 over 10
that's true. Yeah,
because yeah, they can only perceive as much as you can communicate. So
yeah,
now you're top there as an engineering manager, you're
yeah,
writing, you're communicating. What would
yeah.
you say to probably a software developer who is probably starting their journey or just advancing when it comes to communication?
Yeah, I would say always speak up. Also within the team, when you have something to say, when you have an opinion, just say it. And if it's not right or people don't like it, it's fine, but they'll still appreciate you for it. So a lot of times the developers are afraid what other people think because they're really systemized and everything has to be perfect, and then they're afraid if what they say doesn't make sense, because it has to make sense. But it doesn't. And if one time you say something useful and three times not, then they will still appreciate you more and they know your opinion. And indeed, what you say, if your engineering skills are 10 and your communication is a 2, then no one will know the 10
Yeah.
because you're just a programmer. And there are a lot of programmers, but not programmers that are able to talk to the business and be nice people to be around. So that's also really big plus to have as an engineer. Really important.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now let's look at, or let's advise someone. Let's say someone wants to go through this process you went through from one career path to the other. That person is probably reconsidering, right? And I know it's fine, but some people, they've gotten to the point where they know they are not really happy,
Yeah,
but they're still scared of moving outside of their comfort zone.
yeah.
What will you tell them to do, or what would you advise them to, how would you advise them to start that journey?
I would, I would advise them. And you can also try it in a safe space. So, what
Mm,
I always recommend is not. I did it really cold turkey, just quit and do a boot camp. But a lot of times you can also find stuff close to you if you just start doing it. So, for example, if I was here a consultant at my current company and I wanted to start coding, I would be able to do it within the company, for example. So a lot of times the solutions are very near, but you just like we're talking about communication previously. If you talk about the stuff and you express what you want and you also do it, then you will find someone also who needs it. So then back then I was also I would have done it probably differently, but now I would express it more like, hey, I want to be a developer, I want to do something different, and then start doing it a little bit, and then you'll gradually or find it closely, and let's say maybe within the company you can already do it, or the company can help you if it's not the fit that you can transition to something else, but you can make it more smooth by just communicating and really know for sure that you want to switch.
I know,
Hopefully,
right?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, you said if you were to do it now, you would do it a bit differently. I caught that
yeah,
when you said that.
yeah, yeah,
What
because
would you do
yeah,
differently?
yeah. Now I would be more. I would make the transition a little bit smoother. So I
Hmm.
wouldn't. It was a bit calculated because I knew I had some money left, and but I didn't know when I would land a job. So that
Hmm.
I was lucky I landed the job 1 month after, but also could have taken a longer time. So I think it's really important that, especially when you have a house or when you have kids and stuff, it's really important to plan it carefully and to make it the transition smoothly and not take. Of course, you have to take some risk, but just make sure that you can also still pay your bills, right? I think that's really important.
Good. I had someone on the podcast some weeks back, and he mentioned almost the same thing you just said. His words were, "You have a buffer, at least a 3 months buffer for him." He
Yeah,
said, before you try anything, make sure you have savings that can
yeah,
cover 3 months of your expenses. If you don't have any other job, no source of income. So I think, just to reiterate what you said, it's always good to plan ahead.
yeah,
All right. Okay, in terms of training, I know you had, like, you went through boot camps and all of that, but what do you think about people probably doing it themselves, online training, and all of that method,
yeah,
right? I guess in your
yeah,
boot camp, and that's the good thing about boot camps, is a bit more, is very
yeah,
structured. You know what
yeah,
you're going for. So for people who probably just want to go online without that structure, any advice for
yeah.
them?
I think it's perfectly possible, and the resources are really out there. So it's really about what you prefer and how you learn best. I know myself, if I ever go to a class, I would perform and learn the best. And for some people, it's watching the YouTube video about or the Udemy course and then work through the assignments. I think that's also a really good possibility, and it depends on the person. I think it's really possible to do both ways. Yeah,
Okay.
it's all
And
about
now
putting.
yeah, okay. As an engineering manager, I'm sure you interact with a lot of people. For someone who wants to come into tech, right? yeah, the technical skill is there. We've talked about communication. Are there other things they should try to learn to prepare them for that role?
Yeah, if you want to go the engineering route, we are on the front end side. That's what we are. I didn't specifically study for front end, but I roll into it, and the front end is really visual and also easy to step in. So it's considered to be less complicated than real back-end development. And in the front end, you will be, it's a lower learning curve. So I think that's obviously important, the technical stuff. You need to know your technical stuff, and don't underestimate the communication part, because when you come into tech, it's not only coding, it's also being in a team. You have to be a good team player. Sometimes you have to, if you like to present your work to the client, so you also have some presentation skills, and indeed the communication skills. You have to be a team player is also really important. I think the biggest takeaway if you want to move into tech, it's not only tech. It's tech is just a part of it.
Thank you so much. We're approaching the end. I know when we are podcast episodes like this, time runs really fast. So just to ask, currently you're writing, is there any projects besides your newsletter? Now you're a bit more active on LinkedIn. Any other projects you're working on outside of work that you want people to know about and probably look out for?
No, I'm mostly active on LinkedIn. That's where I share stories about the tech, sometimes about mindset, and I also put that in the newsletter you mentioned. So you can find that also in there.
And your YouTube channel.
The YouTube channel, it's been quiet for a while because I was focused on the writing, but I'll pick it up also soon. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for making our time for this. Thank you so much. I know you had a long day and it's the weekend. So do have fun. Yeah, and thank you once again. Thanks for sharing your story. I'll say keep writing, keep sharing, because we're watching out, we're learning from you, and keep inspiring us.
Yeah, thank you for the invite. I really appreciate
You're
it.
welcome. Yeah. All right. Take care and bye for now.
Yes. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.